scary.
Because it's like, oh shit, at what point is the ball gonna drop?
Yeah.
At what point am I gonna get screwed?
And I have a comment.
I'll say she was raising her hands like, yes, amen.
My experience was that, and I have a lot of experience, but a little bit I did have, was that I found that when I finally was in a good relationship, I realized it wasn't supposed to be hard. It wasn't supposed, it was easy. And to me, that was like a light bulb. It was like, oh, I'm not supposed to be neurotic, and I'm not supposed to be anxious, I'm not supposed to be scared, I'm supposed to feel like this. So that's my take on it.
But she was in an adult relationship. Right. And the origin story, can I share?
Yes.
Origin story, they meet, they're both well into their 30s, 40s,
Yeah, please.
and they both said, what do you want? Are we on the same page? I want a marriage, I want to have kids, me too, great.
That was it.
But then that's
Adult,
scary.
adult.
Because it's so
No, yeah.
perfect and everything is so right. So then you're like, wait,
Yes.
what? This is not right.
What are my 2 questions that I ask every couple that will never fail? How'd you meet? What was your first fight? Learn that. Learn that.
Why don't you tell me that you're strong?
That's the book, Truth is in the Triangle.
No,
Small
really.
book, that's the one I'm writing.
Like, thinking about it, everything now that helps me to make my decision, like I told you, would be based on like the first fight. It was always about someone else.
That's my theory, and I've proven
And I
it.
just proved you right.
And I've proven it right, time and time again in session. 1 second. So what I have clients do, is sometimes they come together, sometimes they come apart, is if they're coming together on a sheet of paper, not sharing with their partner, and they have to write it down, because if they hear the other person, then they'll change it, is how'd you meet, what's your first fight? Sometimes you have different fights. People have a different take on a different fight. So I had a client the other day, it was just the guy, and he was going to work with his wife. And I saw that there was going to be some struggle, you know, because now he was working for her. And I said to him, I said, what's your first fight? He's like, she wanted me to quit smoking. I said, and? He's like, I quit smoking and it's the best thing that ever happened. So I explained this to him. I said, so your first fight was you following her, and it worked out in your favor. I said, this you going to work for her is going to work out in your favor. The pattern is there. The first fight. Yes, Andrew.
I was questioning the first fight and how you met them, the theory in the system. I wanted to know more about it.
Okay, so the way that the couple, what's that saying? The chain is only as strong as its weakest link?
Yeah.
Okay, so the first of all is the origin story. You have to know how someone meets, when they meet, what they meet on, what the basis is. That's going to give you the foundation of the story, okay? Then, what is the first fight tells you the weakest link, so that's why the egg is cracked.
Okay.
So, every single time the couple fights, it goes back to that first fight. It could be disguised as you paid too much money for the air conditioner repair guy. It could be disguised as you bought too many shoes. But if you, as a therapist, if you pull it to its thread, you will find that the first fight will give you the indicator as to what they're really, really fighting about. Okay? So we can practice that and see that. But that's the thing. And so what happens is, every 7 years, if couples last that long, they will have a crack in the system. Every 7 years, that fight, that original first fight, will come up to resurface to try to heal. Most couples will break up, or they'll drink their way through it, they'll cheat their way through it, they'll spend their way through it, and they don't work on the root problem. And so you see people that are together 7, 14, 21, 28 years, and they haven't fixed the core. So I have a client now who they just celebrated their 21st, 22nd anniversary, same issue, same issue came up, because I've known them, and it's the same. She's running off, he's running off, they run away, they escape, they travel, they go do their own thing, pretending they're fine, and then once the week period has passed, usually about 2 years, they come back together, they're settled for a while, and then the next 7 years comes up, try to fix it again. But a lot of couples don't do the work to fix that first fight. But that first fight, that thread, will tell you why couples are where they are in the relationship. And all fights go back to that first thing. Always. It is like amazing. So if you can get on a first session, which is what I do, first session with couples, how'd you meet? So I have the foundation of the story. Because if someone meets in a pedestal, if they meet dreamy, you know that that's going to be a problem. Because we already know that couples that don't have a strong foundation are going to try to maintain that fantasy, that bubble, that knight in shining armor, and that doesn't work.
Okay, so what if you try to establish the foundation during a relationship?
What if you try to?
Yes.
Well, you should, but it takes 2 willing people to do that work.
Yeah.
That's where you go to therapy. You don't have to go to therapy, but a lot of people can't do it on their own. They get very stuck in their own ways. And they get into child mode. Me, I'm right, I'm not listening. And that's what tends to happen. But if you're willing to do the work, what your goal is to reestablish the relationship, that foundation, so that it gets stronger, not weaker. But nowadays, most couples just don't do that work. So it's easier to just split up. It's unfortunate. I am a pro-marriage therapist. Not everybody is. I am very pro-marriage, and I believe that with the exception of domestic violence, all relationships can work out. That's my belief, and I share this with my clients. You're going to develop your own belief system. You may not think that a couple can come back from cheating. I do. So that's where each therapist has to have their belief pattern. So if someone comes to me and they said, I've cheated on my wife, and they want to come with their partner, and I don't believe in cheating, how effective am I going to be for that couple? I should refer out. But because I am pro-marriage, and I do think you can bounce back from cheating, then I can counsel them accordingly. But the client needs to know your beliefs, and you need to know the client's beliefs. So I had a client, a couple, not that long ago. Unfortunately, they didn't make it, but she was adamant that she did not want to be with this man. She was like, I'm going through the motions, and every single time she'd leave my office, she was willing to work on it. Something opened in her that she saw maybe this was a good guy. Maybe he was marriage material. Maybe it was okay to keep her family intact. And so we worked on that for several weeks. Eventually, she met someone else and ran off with him, and the work was, done. But I was trying to help them rebuild, regardless of the marriage, right? Rebuild the marriage, regardless of what issues there were. And usually in couples, there's one person that really wants to try. Usually. So it depends. But it's important that we develop these adult relationships. Because what happens is most people in their relationships show up as a child. So you just started, so you don't know the background. But what happens is you're born, your parents have you, and you think that your parents meet your needs. You think they love you unconditional. They don't. They don't know how. So who ends up meeting the needs for the parents? You do. So you become the one that meets their needs. So what happens to your needs?
I need to be met.
Your needs are not met. So who do you go to in the world to meet your needs?
Parents.
No, they can't meet them. You find a partner.
Oh, okay.
You find a partner. So a boyfriend or a girlfriend is supposed to be the person that's supposed to meet your needs. So now you're in a relationship with someone and you're thinking subconsciously, well, my parents never met my needs, this person should. And so we end up as child. Because it's your childhood needs that never got met. And so you show up in your relationship as a child. And you're like, well, you should meet my needs. And you don't say that. I wish we said that. If we said that, we'd be ahead of the game.
Yeah.
But we're passive aggressive, or we're manipulative, or we cheat, or we lie, or we pout, or we don't cook, or, you know, we don't pay the bills, or we file our taxes separately, or whatever way that you're gonna get back at the person.
Yeah.
And that's the power struggle in a relationship. Once people get through the power struggle, if they do, hopefully, that's the therapist's job, is to help you through the power struggle. Now you have an adult relationship until the next 7 years. And then you do it all over again. But the power struggle time in the relationship is supposed to be so that both people learn how to ask for what they need and how to meet their own needs. And most people don't pass that period. It's very unfortunate. But most people don't pass it. That's why there's such a high divorce rate. That's why it's called the 7-year itch.
7-year itch. I
Yes.
never heard that.
Okay, there's a saying called the 7-year itch.
Yeah.
And once you're together with someone for 7 years, you have what I call your first skinny cow. And it's like a time of famine, it's a time of difficulty. And most people are not equipped with the skills to get past that. So they stay in this. Or even worse.
Oh, that's bad.
Yes.
Child.
I'm a child and you're a child.
Oh, God.
And then nobody wins. But if we can get out of this, with therapy or otherwise,
Yeah.
into this, then everybody gets their needs met. Because what I learned to do, and this is crucial in our job, is that we teach our clients to ask for what they need. I need to be gone until Sunday at 2 o'clock because I need to visit my grandmother and some friends, and I need some time away from this house. That is her asking in an adult way for what she needs. Not telling, not demanding, not reprimanding, but just clearly stating what she needs. The other person has a right to say no and be mad. That does not matter.
Because it's an adult relationship.
Exactly. And so what happens as therapists is that we think that we are responsible for how the other person feels, because that's what our parents taught us. If I was like, Mom, what's wrong? Mom, what's wrong? Mom, what's wrong? Then of course, if you're my partner, I should be like, Andrew, what's wrong? Andrew, what's wrong? Andrew, what? And what happens when I stop doing that? Oh shit, this person doesn't love me anymore. No, it's not that. It's that you have to take care of your own needs, and I'm going to take care of my needs. That's adult. But we start to feel guilty. I didn't do this. I said this. I didn't do this enough. I shouldn't have done that. And we get very caught up in the guilt. Guilt is a placeholder emotion. I've said this time and time again, for something that's less acceptable. She does not have guilt, although she may pretend she does, for wanting to go visit her friends. Guilt is acceptable. I feel guilty. No, you don't. We don't feel guilty. What we feel is, I want to do it, and screw you, but I can't say that, so I say I feel guilty. Guilty is a placeholder emotion. So when people say guilty,
To be honest, I haven't shown you guilt. I was didn't give a fuck.
Well, because you know better. You
Yeah.
know that guilt isn't legit.
Yeah, I didn't care.
Guilty is not, it's not true. That's my belief. It is a placeholder emotion for something that's less socially acceptable. So we say we're guilty rather than saying the true thing. And so you probe clients as to what they're really feeling. So now, someone earlier said always. Oh, okay, what was it that you said?
I don't remember now.
Okay, when you hear the words always or never,
Or supposed to. That's my understanding.
Supposed to. yeah. These are words of the victim. Okay?
Yep.
And we are
Don't
all
look at me.
in victim stance at some point. Okay?
I'm looking at myself.
The thing is that when we are in victim, we're in rescuer or savior, and we're also in perpetrator. So the adult doesn't allow for victim. That's what's so good about that. Everybody's taking responsibility for their actions, for their behaviors. There's no victim. Therefore, there's no perpetrator, and therefore no one needs to be rescued. How wonderful if we lived in a world like that. Does anybody? No. We live in this victim, perpetrator, rescuer world. So we have to become very aware of what role we are playing in the situation. And every single role is taken. There's no role that's left out. Okay, so who wants to share something that has happened to them? Recently, when they were a child, I don't care.
We always want to share, now we don't want to share. What the hell?
Anything. Or about a friend, I don't care. You started on Thursday about your brother and stuff.
So I have a story about a friend.
Okay.
She left, okay, she just got out of a relationship with actually a transgender person.
Okay.
And now she was always put down, controlled. You know, you work, you come home, you don't go anywhere, do this or that. Well, now she's with the guy, which is like really fast after, but.
Okay, wait. Who put her in the role of you come home, you cook?
The girlfriend. Well, the guy. She wanted to be known as the guy, so the boyfriend.
Okay.
It confused
So
me.
she was in a relationship with female to male,
Mhm.
and that person, her partner,
Was very
Forced
demanding,
her-
very que manda todo. Like,
okay, wanted her to do everything.
everyone, it didn't matter, like, everyone around that person had to, like, be a certain way, even down to the children. So the children were treated very robotic, they were ordered around, they were very upset. It actually came out later that he had tried to hit them, hit my godchildren, made them feel really bad. Yeah, that was my reaction too. I was like, as a godmom, I'm gonna have to go somewhere and whoop some ass, because you don't do that. But
Okay, so she's in this abusive relationship. She
She was.
breaks up with him, and now she's with someone new.
great guy.
Okay.
Goes to church with him, everything. I've met him. He seems genuine, but then again, you know, you gotta take everyone at face value. You don't know them right away. And now she's actually getting married.
Oh, wow.
It's really fast, but she said she has a good feeling about it, but she's still scared. She's telling me she's scared to get married, but then texted me late last night, I want you to plan my wedding. Now, I've known her for like 10 years. I know she's not ready to get married yet. She's still dealing with the bad relationship effects, trying to get to herself. But this guy's making her feel so good, she wants to get married, and it's like, I don't know how to tell her, like, maybe you should hold off on getting married, or do I just go along with planning her wedding? And I'm happy for her, she's happy.
Okay, so we first have to identify our role in relationships with people. Are you her therapist or are you her friend?
It's her friend.
Okay, so what does the friend do?
I wanna support her, but I also have seen her, like, she's called me crying, screaming, upset, and I don't want to encourage something that could end up.
Being the same way.
Yeah, exactly, I don't want it to be the same, and knowing that I helped for her to hurt, like,
Okay, so that's your role as friend, that's your friend hat.
yeah.
You know exactly what to do as a friend.
No.
Baby girl, I love you, but it seems like this is more of the same.
Right.
Or maybe you need to give yourself some time. I'll be happy to plan your wedding, but how about waiting 6 months? If she says no, then you have to decide as her friend if you're gonna plan the wedding for tomorrow.
I mean, I'll plan.
That's your friend.
Yeah, I'll always plan, whatever she needs, I'll always do. But
Okay.
we've had that type of friendship, that it's okay for that.
Okay.
But-
Now, what about as a therapist?
Oh, hell no, it's too soon. It's way too soon.
But that's not our decision
I
to
know.
make. So now we've got James and Nicole that want to solve everyone's problems.
I just,
Can you tell that to your client?
oh, hell no.
Can you say it seems too soon?
Yes.
Yes, you can absolutely say that to your client. But what else do you know about this person?
You've said it. You've seen the pattern.
There's a pattern.
Yeah.
And so you bring the pattern to your client. It seems as if you're following a pattern. First with this guy, and now with this guy. And you can ask questions. How long was she in the honeymoon period with the first guy?
It's weird, they knew each other since they went to Job Corps.
Who's your friend?
Sandra?
I went to job.
Oh, she's older, she's like 35. She went at a different time. Yeah,
I was there for like a whole 2 years.
no, she went at a way different time, but,
Now, if you're therapists and you're doing that, you can share professional information
yeah,
if you're talking about a client because you're trying to get feedback from another therapist. If it's gossip, we don't do that, just FYI, that worked out perfectly.
yeah.
Okay, so how long,
A couple months.
a couple
Like,
months?
the person moved in with her, he moved in with her, I think, 3 weeks into dating.
Okay.
3
And how long
weeks.
has she been with this new guy?
Hace un mes.
Okay, so more or less about the same.
Yeah.
So what can you tell your client about her pattern? 3 weeks into dating, she moves in. 1 month into dating, she's planning a wedding.
And I think he moved in too already. I'm pretty sure he
Okay,
moved in.
so what can you tell the client? What seed can you plant here? What awareness can you bring?
Awareness to the pattern of it.
Okay, so what would you tell her?
Seems like this is a pattern. People you meet.
Yeah,
Keep
that's what's happening.
I'm still thinking, my brain is still going.
That's absolutely appropriate. This seems to be a pattern.
What happened in your childhood?
Well, we don't have to jump to childhood yet, although
Oh.
I would definitely want to know.
But I know the answer to that one already.
Okay.
Her dad is a lot like my dad, to where he knows he has children, but he doesn't acknowledge it. Like her dad, she has like 3 or 4 siblings, and he chooses, I think, the brother, Ty, to have a relationship with him, but will not choose to have one with her. So, and me and her have talked about this, you know, because it's a similar experience and everything. She said it's heartbreaking, and I said, yes, but you also can't find that comfort in men. Because your
Because now
dad's,
you're talking as a friend.
yeah, as a
So
friend.
take that information and bring it in as a therapist.
That's different, it's hard in this situation, because she's a
Maybe
friend.
asking questions.
Yeah,
Could it be that,
you're replacing, or you're trying to fill the spot of dad with a male.
that could be a question.
Okay, that one works.
Okay.
I'm on a roll today.
What would you say to that?
Um,
The client could say nope.
no, she
Not
would agree.
true.
she's a smartass, but she would agree. We've already talked about this. But,
So I have a question. You may or may not know the answer. When the dad is or was around, how often was he around for?
he really wasn't. Her stepdad is an asshole. I've met him and he's like,
But he would drop in, dad.
no,
Ever?
no. I think he was there maybe the first little bit and then
What little bit?
when she was like younger.
Like how old?
Like an infant?
Like she's the last child that he had. No, I'm sorry, I lied. He's having another baby. Another couple months.
Previous to that one?
Previous to that, she was the last one, so I think maybe he was there for like a year.
Okay,
And then-
so what's my hypothesis? Why did I think that he had to drop in or be there for a little while?
Because
She's
of
taking
the
that little
pattern.
while to
Yeah.
have someone move in.
She only had that little bit of time with dad, so she's repeating that pattern with these men. So whether it's a year or 3 weeks or a month, it's
She's
a
in
short
love,
amount
yeah.
of time.
So why is she in a hurry to get married? Why is she in
She's
a hurry
really
to
not.
get them to move in with her?
I just saw her last week and she just showed up at my door while I was doing my paper and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? But she told me she's not ready for that. See, normally we're on the same wavelength where we're like, okay, you're cool, I'm gonna fill you out for a bit. And then I might let you in personally, but for some reason, I think this guy hurt her so bad because she gave everything to him that she wants to fill that void. And my goddaughter's dad, a friend of mine, actually, he was shot and killed over in West Palm Beach over jealousy. So she has to deal with my goddaughter missing her dad, and I even try to explain to my goddaughter, you know, he's always around and everything. The other child that she has, I met that guy, and he claims he's schizophrenic, but he's really not.
But how do you help the client not make a mistake?
But she's
What you
stubborn
deem-
though. But
As you
she,
deem,
yeah.
remember, manipulation. As
Yeah.
therapists, we are manipulative. How do you help your client not make the mistake?
I feel like she's filling the void for her children too. Because my goddaughter not having her father, and now it's a couple-year anniversary since he was killed, and then her son, the father's just come nieta. He doesn't really.
Would it be?
He's around when he's around, so she likes to have that male role model around for the kids.
Okay, but can she have the male role model without getting married?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's not ready to. She told me he wants to marry her. He wants to give her the world. And he seems genuine about it. He truly wants to give her everything she wants.
Why is he in a hurry?
I don't know. I didn't really talk to him too much because he was someone new and I was kind of like, okay, I'll
Well, that's
fill
the
you out
whole
for
point,
this.
someone new.
Yeah.
Unless, I mean,
And educating the client on that.
yeah, maybe
About
she's
the
not
honeymoon
aware.
phase.
Right.
Yeah.
There is a phase in relationships.
Well, we talked about that yesterday.
I noticed that when Nicole said that her friend asked her to plan the wedding for her, right off the bat, I picked up, she doesn't want to get married.
Mm-mm.
Because why am I asking my friend to plan my wedding? Why
Okay,
can't
so
it
if
be,
she's
hey,
your client-
let's plan it together?
Okay, so if
Yeah, no,
she's
she
your
wants me to do it all.
client and you hear her say, I asked
She
my
wants me to plan,
friend,
dress everything.
if you're the therapist
Right.
and you hear your client say, I'm asking my friend to plan the wedding, what would you?
I would ask her, why are you having your friend plan it? What is your friend's involvement in?
What's the hypothesis? I have a different one because I didn't want to get married the first time and I could care less about the wedding planning. My second time, I wanted to get married, but I also didn't have anything to do with it. So I don't agree just because I lived that experience. It doesn't mean that you're not onto something, but what's your hypothesis?
My hypothesis is that she's scared. She's evading or escaping reality. A reality
Because the
that
wedding
she
itself
didn't
is-
have herself.
Because the wedding is reality?
Yeah, because the wedding is, the wedding is what it is, a
And she's
wedding,
onto
a
it,
coming
'cause that's-
together of two people
They're family,
symbolizing
they're friends.
one as one, and she is scared. Which is okay for her to be scared because, like Nicole was saying, her father was only there for so long.
But I'm not seeing where that would help the client necessarily, are you?
No, I think, I'm trying to figure out, because I think I know what you're saying. As simple as if you wanted to get married and you were happy about it, why would you give all that planning
To someone
Well,
else.
she's
responsibility to somebody else
I feel
instead
like
of
she's
be
in
part of it
pain.
yourself?
I feel like the client is in pain
Okay,
over
so what would
a
you?
loss. Over not only a loss of this guy leaving, but a loss of